So this is a presentation put together by Antje Schlaff. She is the Mapping Media Freedom Developer based here at ECPMF. For you who don't know, ECPMF is based in Leipzig. We focus on protecting press and media freedom across Europe. We'll go into more detail into the MFRR later on, but today we're talking about mapping media freedom first off. Mapping Media Freedom is a platform where we monitor press and media violations, basically what happened, where, when, and to whom. But we don't only use it for documentation, we also use it to coordinate how we respond to and how we protect journalists. This can be in terms of advocacy, but this also can be in terms of legal support and practical support. Since the start of monitoring on this platform in 2014, we have logged 5,197 alerts, and there have been 165 alerts since the start of the Media Freedom Rapid Response Project, which commenced in March the 1st. We have seen an unfortunate uptick in threats and violations of press and media freedom in the countries that we deal with. So to start off with, this is where it gets a little bit annoyingly complicated. There are two websites. There is the mappingmediafreedom.org and there is mappingmediafreedom.ushahidi.io. The difference is sort of visibility and accessibility. So mappingmediafreedom.org is the public-facing side of the crowdsourced platform. It is hosted on ECPMF's own website, and it's the main public entry point for the platform. It also has a number of other pages such as analysis, methodologies, the resource center, and a dedicated page around COVID-19. Mappingmediafreedom.ushahidi.io is the more technical website where the database is hosted because it's hosted by Ushahidi. But the data uploaded to mappingmediafreedom.org is accessible on the Ushahidi platform, and the data uploaded on the Ushahidi platform is accessible on mediafreedom.org. Mediafreedom.org uses an iframe to embed the Ushahidi player onto it. So when you are uploading a threat or when you're analyzing existing threats, either one will work for your needs. Mappingmediafreedom.org is just a bit more user-friendly, as we'll show as we go on. So the broad steps to publish or submit an alert on Mapping Media Freedom can be broken down into three sections. So one is the initial submission. This means that anyone can submit an alert. You don't have to be logged in. You can do this totally anonymously without giving any of your personal information. So this, I'll show you how to submit alert, but you'll put in the details in the form and then press submit. Once it's submitted, the post needs to be verified. We do not publish anything that hasn't been verified. We work with a network of experts, so the European Federation of Journalists, who very kindly put this session together today, the International Press Institute, and ourselves at ECPMF. The experts will check the sources, check the details, and check the information. They will reach out to their network in the region, and they may adjust the wording or provide extended information or edit existing information or change what's been posted. The importance is that the information is accurate because the entire platform really depends on the platform being trustworthy. So once it's been verified, it is then published, and that only happens after verification. And once it's published, this is publicly visible to everyone. So once you submit, if you're not logged in, once you submit, you cannot access the account, the alert again. It's in the verification process. If someone submits a submission that is either not accurate, it's an alert that's not actually an alert, we can archive it, so it's not public, but it's still on the system. Again, this is to ensure the platform remains trustworthy. And so what information is documented for each alert? This is really important because this determines on what information we have to verify the claims. So generally, in a very top line summary, we have a title. This generally is the name of the country, colon, then a summary of what's happened. So if you take the recent cases in Serbia, for example, the title could be Serbia, journalists attacked at Belgrade protest, or Turkey, journalist sentenced to prison for web content, etc., etc. It's a very simple title, sort of like think of it as a headline in a newspaper article. A description is a far more detailed description of what's happened. This can be done linearly. This can narratively shape what happened to the alert. So, who attacked the journalist, the identity of the journalist, the context, any other factors that are important. We ask this to be as detailed as possible because this helps us verify, but also helps us, once it's published, it helps other people know more about the allegation, the alert. The location, this can be down to a street if it's on a protest. If you know the street name, you can go down to that level of detail. It can be a city, so if a publication is based in a capital city like Vienna, you can put Vienna. If it's a media law that's relevant for the entire country, you can just put the country, such as Spain or France. You can do this a number of ways. I'll show it to you on the form later on. The date of the incident, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. That is not the date that you are uploading the alert. That is the date the actual incident took place. If you don't know the exact date, but you know the month, you can put in as the first of that month. So if you submit an alert on the 24th of April, and you're unaware of when it happened, but you know it happened in April, put it on the 1st of April. Number of attacked persons or entities. So this can be if it's the journalist himself who was attacked or threatened, or the media outlet. You don't need to know how big the media outlet is. The media outlet itself will be classed as one. Again, I'll show it to you and it'll make more sense. If it's related to a threat to media as a whole, such as media legislation or regulation, again, that is one. Verification sources, so this is really important. So if you find news links or new articles talking about the alert, so if a journalist was attacked at a protest and you find a number of articles from online newspapers, or videos from news outlets, you can put the links into the news links, and you can put in as many as you find. Internet source links can be social media posts, such as tweets or Facebook posts. It can also be statements from unions, statements from freedom of expression organizations, supranational bodies, governments, etc., etc. If you verify this through individual contact with either the victim, a witness, someone else who has first-hand experience of the alert, you can put in how many individual contacts you've received. So say you've spoken to the victim and a witness, you'd put in 2, and then in the next box you can put in their names and contact details if it's safe to do so. As you'll see, that part is not made public. That is just seen to the back end because it helps us verify. You can upload an image if it's safe to do so. Please be careful about the identity of people in the photos. Also, if you have rights to use the photos, for example, sometimes we screen grab tweets. If it's relevant to the case, you can caption it to say this is a screen grab of @Nik Williams 2's Twitter account, for example. Same thing with videos, you can post Vimeo and YouTube links. And things like that. We'll go into more detail into that afterwards once I show you the actual platform. We categorize incidents based on a range of different aspects, just to help us structure our response and also make it easier to analyze and move through the form. For example, we have 3 overall categories: physical and psychological, legal and censorship. And underneath each, you'll see a range of different types of threats. So physical assault leading to death, physical assault leading to injury, without injury, abduction, kidnapping, attacks to equipment or property, convictions, legal measures such as laws restricting press or media, the surveillance and interception of journalistic data, and also aspects of censorship, whether a platform itself has been blocked, whether a journalist has been their access to accreditation registration has been withdrawn, things like that. So this is how we categorize, and we ask everyone who uploads an alert to click which of these is relevant to the alert, and it will make more sense once I show you the platform. We also, so these are generally the sort of classifications. So types of incidents, as we outlined in the previous slide, the source of the incident, so who was behind the threat? Was it the employer, police or state security? Was it the legislative or judiciary or executive branch of government? Was it private individuals such as protesters or people on the street, or private security or private corporations? You'll see the full list. Who was attacked? Was it a media worker and journalist themselves? Was it the media company in general, or a media owner, a family member of a journalist, a source for a journalist's work, an NGO working on related issues? The context, this is sort of the location, but it's also the broader context, the situation within which the threat happened. So did it happen at work? Did it happen, we're seeing this very regularly now, during a demonstration? Arguably, you could click both at a public place or a demonstration, but that context is really important. The type of the journalist threatened, so again, there's a journalist, a media owner, a whistleblower, a blogger, a camera operator, etc., etc. Whether they're employed, freelance, or unemployed. So in terms of unemployed, we talk about volunteer or citizen bloggers, citizen social media users. Gender, so female, male, non-binary, or non-applicable. If it's an outlet, not an individual, it would be non-applicable. And then we have specific topics. So key topics that underlie the threat. So for example, COVID-19, is the threat connected to COVID-19 or the government's response to COVID-19? Is it connected to a strategic lawsuit against public participation? Is the threat based on the gender or sexual orientation of the journalist in question? Or is it the result of racism, xenophobia, or the antagonism towards immigration status? These are all different bits of information that we want to capture. So now I'll show you how to do it. So basically, this is mappingmediafreedom.org. This is what it looks like. As you see, you've got the different tabs at the top, and then you've got this is what the Ushahidi map is. We have the map at the top, we have the data view, I don't know why my computer's being very weird, the data view underneath. And underneath that, we have tweets from the Mapping Media Freedom Twitter account, and then some of the reports we've published. And so we have the data view and the map view. The map view shows where the alerts come from as placed on the map. This takes a while to load, so I would ask you to bear with it. The data view basically posts all published alerts chronologically. So the top alert will be the one that's most recently been published. And then you can scroll down, and then once you click on them, it views the alert in more detail. And that's the description there, that long body of text, date, things like this, but we'll go into that in a bit more detail. So you can alert to upload an alert, you can press this yellow cross, well, the grey cross on the yellow background, and that generates the form eventually. I'm going to do it on, this is the Ushahidi. When you go to the Ushahidi platform, this is what you see. It's the exact same thing as the Mapping Media Freedom website, just a bit bigger, and it's a bit easier to use for submitting. But you can submit alerts on both platforms. But for today, I'm going to show you how to upload it on the Ushahidi platform. So again, you press the yellow circle with the black cross on. Eventually, it loads. So yeah, so the title here, this is where you put in the title. So for example, if I put in Germany, as I'm in Germany, colon, test, you know, journalist attacked at home. For example, description, this will be the what, the who, the where, the when, and the why. So if there is context or background or quotes, etc. So this is where you can add the description. This is where you can sort of tell the narrative story of the alert. You can use content pulled from other sources. You can amend or tweak content that's been published in newspaper articles. You can place all of that in description. We ask for it being more than 50 words, just to ensure we have enough information to enable us to verify, and also to tell others what happened. The date of the incident, you put today's date. You can put dates that happened in the past. So we'll say, for example, this one happened on June 17th. And then it generates the date there. Please make sure, as you'll see, a lot of these have the red asterisk. Date doesn't, but please put it in. As I said, if you don't know the exact date, put in either an approximate date or the first date of that month. In the description, you can add something that says like true date, unknown, have given approximate date, something like that, for example. And then location, you have a map, so you can drag it and you can drop a point there, or if you know where it is, you can put Germany. Please make sure this lines up, this location here lines up with the country you put here, otherwise it would get quite confusing for us to differentiate between the two. But as I said, you can put in individual addresses. So for example, you can put in that, and that takes you, that will be the exact street address that you've put in. That is the address of this office. It also generates, you can include latitude and longitude, and that will also generate the location. And then you can click update map just to make sure it's locked in. Number of attacked persons or entities. Again, this can be individuals or outlets or the threat to media more generally. So I'll say journalists attacked at home. So for this, I will say maybe 3. So here you'd put in, you know, like just links to things. So you know, and we ask you to put a space in between each. Sorry, I've now forgotten all organization names. So just for example, when you put in, please put in the full URLs, obviously not just the home pages. Internet source, so again, this can be Twitter or Facebook posts, or it can be from other organizations, so say journalists, EFJ, you know, etc., etc. Oh, EFJ.org, I think it is. So again, please put in as many as you can. Again, this makes our verification process really a lot easier. We ask for a minimum of 2 sources. Like that's the minimum, unless we have individual contacts and it's been verified that way. But please put in. We'd rather have too many source links than not enough. Okay, so if you're in contact with one of the victims or a witness or someone else who has first-hand knowledge, you can put in here. So you could say like, okay, to individual, and then here you can say victim spoken to journalist A on phone. So for example, I'm just going to put because that's the one I remember recently, we've been working on recently. So spoken to union representative who has been working with victims. Here you can put in contact details, but only do that if it's safe and secure to do so. The person has consented to that information being shared to us this way. But I will say, because it's got this little lock here, the answers to this will not be made public, will not be published on the public version of the alert. This is only for internal. So we will see it, EFJ and IPI will see it, but that's it. And we will obviously only ever deal with this in an utmost confidence. So this is the type of incident. This is how we categorize, as we talked about in the earlier panels. The really important thing, and I cannot stress how important it is that these are not the only types of incidents because of this more button. Ushahidi has a number of limitations to how all the data is structured. So please always click that more button, because that will open up all of the different types of threats. So we're going to say one person was attacked but was injured, someone else was not injured. So you can click more than one, because we understand that one alert may have a number of different types of threats within it. So you can type in as many as you need. So we'll say that they were injured and that someone wasn't injured, that their equipment was also attacked and they were threatened to stop doing their work because of it. So we'll say that's the type of threats. But as you'll see, it's split down to legal, physical and psychological threats, and then censorship. The source of the incident, again, employer, police or state security, legislative, sorry, I hate that word, judiciary, a political party, corporation, private security, etc., etc. So we're going to say this was a police, but also some unknown people who did not identify themselves as police and they were in plain clothes for this story. So again, you can click more than one. Who was attacked? So as it was at a home, we'll say it was a journalist and a family member. Again, more than one. These you don't, there's no more to click, but on every alert, I would click the more button just to make sure you're not missing anything. The context of this threat, so the location, but also, you know, where it was. So we're going to say in a private environment because that's someone's home. But, you know, there can be more than one click. For example, if it's at a demonstration, it could be during a demonstration in a public place. If you receive a legal letter, arguably it could be via letter and at the office, but we would, if you're receiving a legal letter, I would focus on that. If you're receiving online harassment, again, it's there. It doesn't necessarily mean where you are, where you receive that online threat. It's more the context of it is the threat is that it's an online threat. But in this context, it's private environment. The type of journalist, so we're going to say the journalist who was attacked was a journalist there. Gender, okay, we'll say one person was female, one person was non-binary. As I said, if it was a outlet, you would click non-applicable. Employment status, I mean, we appreciate it's not always known, but if it is known, please include it, because we're really keen to be able to analyze whether the threats are greater for freelancers or employed, whether individual people are being targeted. This is also something that we can double check on verification as well. So we're going to say in this case that they were employed. And again, is it related to any of these overall topics? We're going to say this could be COVID related because the journalist who's been attacked was covering the government's response to the pandemic, for example. Support needed. If you've been in conversation with the victim and you know that they're looking for legal support, practical support, or publicity, you can click this here. If you don't know, you can leave it blank. As I'll explain later in the presentation, we will talk about this in more detail and we will lead on that. Don't worry about that. That's who verifies it, not who publishes it. Again, you can add a photo if you want. You just click it there and upload a saved photo. You can add a caption. I'd always, in a caption, if you are uploading a photo, please always make known where it comes from and who has rights to use the photo. And again, for videos, you can type in just URLs. If you've got descriptions in another language, we tried Mapping Media Freedom's working language is English, but if you have it in another language, you can submit the original description in that language in the originally submitted description. This won't be shown publicly, but again, it'll be useful for the verifiers, and then we can obviously do different translations on it to ensure that the English language is as accurate as possible. So once you've done all of that and once you've checked all of it, you then click the orange submit button. It'll take a little time. And then at the bottom, you'll see post Germany test, for example, has been submitted to verifiers. So that's on the system now. You can't access it It's just there in the background. And then the verifiers, the network verifiers will go into the system and then check it. So that's how you upload an alert. And as I said, the same thing's as we'll see here, to report it here, it's the same form, just in a different frame, basically. So that's how you upload an alert. Okay, so how you search for alerts. So again, you can do this in both the mapping media freedom website, but also the Oshahidi platform as well. Again, I'm going to do it on the Oshahidi platform just because in this context it's a bit easier. And so to search, here it opens up all of these filters. We are very confined by the Oshahidi platform here, so I will say searching will take a bit of patience, I will say. First off, if you know it is recently published, you may not need to search at all. You just go to data, and eventually you'll see the most recent alerts, and then you can scroll back in time to do that. But if you want to search, you can first off try, for example, searching by country. Oh dear. And then press enter, and then you'll see the searches coming out. So this will have obviously ones where the Turkey's in the title and Turkey is in the country, as you see there. But you would also get cases such as this case, where even though the case technically is in Sweden, because the journalist themselves is in exile in Sweden, because Turkey is in the description, it'll also come out that way as well. So searching by country is generally quite straightforward. For countries such as, for example, the UK, it is recommended you check both UK and United Kingdom. We encourage people to use United Kingdom, but some people do use UK. The same thing, for example, Scotland, even though it's a country within a unitary state, we encourage people to use United Kingdom. In the description, you can say whether it happened in Scotland, Northern Ireland, or Wales, or things like that in other countries as well. You can also, and then to clear the search function, you can just click that X and you're back to the main search. This is where it gets a bit frustrating. So if you want to filter by one of the many different criteria, unfortunately, you have to unclick all of the other boxes that are not relevant. It is a very, very frustrating system. It's generally because of Oshahidi that we have that this is a thing. We're trying to figure it out, but it's a bit of a pain. So now we've unclicked everything. So say we want to say abductions and kidnappings. So we click that one and then press apply. Don't just press enter if you click apply. So we don't actually have any on that. That was a bad example. So injury and then apply. And then you'll see there are 217 posts. And then you can scroll through them as you'll see different countries, different timing, different times, different series of things like that. You can go back in, you can unclick that. So say we want just female, apply. I mean, obviously we are totally dependent on the data that's being published. So as you'll see, these are now cases where we have the gender identity of, even I don't know why that is there. Okay, I don't know why that one is there, to be honest. Oh, sorry, should get rid of that. Oh, sorry, no, that one's there because that was the last thing I clicked. So yes, so these are the ones for that search term. You can restore defaults, and that brings you back to all of them. So that's how you can sort and search. You can also search by other terms, such as you can type in, I don't know, for example, and that will bring out the terms that use hospitalization. I would say be as precise as you need to. For example, hospitalization came out with 1 post. This has come out with 190 for hospital. So you are going to have to persevere a little bit, I'm afraid. So in broad terms, that's how you can search and sort. You can do the same thing on the map. But I would always encourage using the data view to search because it's far easier. So say you're wanting to use Mapping Media Freedom for your advocacy, and you want to link to individual posts, this is what you can do. The easiest way is to do it via the Ushahidi website, right? So say you're writing a statement or you're working on a case in Poland, you click this, and this is the alert you want to link to. The good thing about the Ushahidi platform is once you click a data, an entry, the URL is the URL for that actual alert. For example, so using the Ushahidi platform, it's very easy just to grab individual posts. So I've clicked the Malta slap action, go here, boom, and that generates that specific alert. So that's quite handy and that's quite helpful. If you're using the Mapping Media Freedom one, unfortunately, it is not as straightforward. So if you're on the mappingmediafreedom.org website and you're wanting to, say, link to this. So I've clicked on the alert the same way I did on the other page, but as you see, the URL stayed the same. So what you can do is once you've clicked on the alert you want to host, you click the 3 little dots to the bottom right, click share, go to embed, that creates an iframe, and then you just take the HTTPS, basically the URL between the inverted commas, copy that, and then if you paste that into a window, you'll see, yeah, the post comes up, but it comes up in the Ushahidi platform. As I said, I would recommend copying and searching and links through the Ushahidi platform. It's a lot more straightforward. You can submit without logins to be anonymous. So just straight away, you can just sort of submit it and don't worry about any of that. You can create an account. This will help us because we'll know who submitted the alert. So if we have questions about it, we can reach out that way. You can also set up so you will get email notifications when a new alert is published. So you can sign up here, boom, and then it's just display name, what you want we would recommend your name, then in brackets, the organization name. So Camille Petit, bracket EFJ, things like that. And then once you log in, so if I'm logging in now, I mean, I will see stuff that you won't because I'm an admin. But you can also set up in here, once you click on your account name, notifications, you can set up, send notifications to this address, then save and close, and then I'm having it so I will get notified when the post is published. So that's what you can do there. I will log out. Okay, and one thing just to be aware is that we have recently revised our categorizing systems, and we've added new fields. We've also honed a few other details as well. So sometimes there may be not as much backstory to that individual type or field. So again, you can search using the text if it's a newer field. We are planning to find easier ways of publishing statistics about the data. We're also developing, as part of the Report It campaign, a simple form that's literally what we're asking for is 4 questions. So the title, the description, the date, and the location. And then the verifiers will then fill in all the other information we need. But that's something that we're developing, and we should hopefully be having that in the next few weeks. So that's generally the information about mapping media freedom. We have the Twitter account, Media Freedom EU, and Media Freedom RR is the MFRR hashtag. My colleague Ansha is happy to, if you have any questions, you can email her on schlaf@ecpmf.eu. I'll open it, I'll unmute people. I don't know if I can, yes, if I unmute people, if anyone's, no one's posted a question in the text, but I'm going to unmute. How do I do this? Yes, unmute. Yep. Okay, I've unmuted. Unmute, yes. So does anyone have any questions? I think you may have to unmute yourself. Do you have any questions? Oh, I think Cami is unmuted. Can you hear me, Cami? Oh no, she's muted again.
I was trying to unmute myself. Indeed, you have to click on the mic, which is red when you are muted, and which turns green when you are unmuted.
Okay, okay. So if anyone has any questions, please let me know now. We've got the next bit, which is about the MFRR, so we can keep going. But if any question comes up, you can type it into the chat window, and it will be sent to me straight away, and then I can answer it there. Or and then, so maybe we'll move on, and then if there are any questions, please use the text chat, and then we can move on from there. So yeah, so now we're going to talk about the Media Freedom Rapid Response. Oh, can we? Yes. So basically, we are going to send this presentation out to everyone after the presentation, alongside some of the resources we have for the Media Freedom Rapid Response as well. We do have some hidden slides on this platform, on this presentation, that you'll see when we send it to you, but we didn't need to show in the presentation. But yes, we'll make sure to send it to everyone. And please feel free to share it to your colleagues as well. None of this is proprietary in any way, and we're encouraging as many people as possible to use this. So yes, so the Media Freedom Rapid Response is a consortium of 7 organizations: ECPMF, Article 19, the European Federation of Journalists, Free Press Unlimited, the Institute for Applied Informatics at the University of Leipzig, the International Press Institute, and Osservatorio Balcani e Caucaso Trans-Europa. It is what we do. We track, monitor, and respond to violations of press and media freedom in EU member state and candidate countries. That's really important for us. We have to, that is our, what we call the MFRR region. It does also include the United Kingdom until December 31st. As well as monitoring and tracking alerts, which we use Mapping Media Freedom for, we also then provide legal and practical support to journalists, media workers, and media outlets. We also deliver public advocacy to stakeholders and policymakers across Europe, and also provide information to protect journalists and media workers. And it is co-funded by the European Commission. And it's a 1-year pilot project. So, as I said, so we get alerts through Mapping Media Freedom, we verify them and publish them, and then we look at how we can respond to these alerts that we're receiving. The platform's good to, the Mapping Media Freedom is good to visualize it, but we use it as well to guide how we offer our support. And one of the support strands we offer is legal support, and this is delivered by ECPMF. So we also, as well as monitoring court cases and legal developments across the region, we also have a legal support fund for journalists and media workers who are threatened with legal action due to their work. The fund covers general guidance, access to legal advice on laws and strategy. It can be legal reform movement, or it can be someone receiving a legal letter and developing a strategy to respond. External assistance, so submitting a case to court, watching briefs, so advocacy. We've also, for example, produced legal opinions. We've recently produced a legal opinion on the COVID-19 laws in Hungary. And we've published that in English, and we're publishing, I think later today, the version in Hungarian. And it's also engagement in national or international litigation, directly or indirectly. We tend to offer support for journalists who are themselves being sued, so who are the subject of legal action. So this can include defamation actions, breaches of privacy, whistleblower protection, source protection, things like that. We can, in very, very specific cases, support cases where the journalists themselves have commenced actions, but generally it's more enabling journalists to be able to defend themselves. We have, for example, supported journalists and media workers in Malta, and recently we've also provided 15,000 euros to Gazeta Wyborcza in Poland, who have received around 55 legal actions since 2014, I believe. So we work with the Legal Affairs Committee, who vets and verifies every claim and every request. But we hope to ensure that journalists are not sued into silence, or that they don't stop themselves doing their work because they can't afford legal support. So that's one of the aspects that we work on. We also work on practical support, and this is delivered by ECPMF and Free Press Unlimited. So threats against journalists and media workers will at times require urgent and time-sensitive responses, predominantly focused on the safety and security of journalists and media workers. So we can offer practical support on a range of different topics, including medical assistance for injuries sustained during a journalist's work, subsistence costs, so short-term support for journalists who are not able to work because of the threats, or there are costs if they need to temporarily flee an unsafe situation. Psychological support, so in terms of psychological health care, this can include PTSD, STSD. We can also support psychological advice, referrals and funds to ensure a journalist can seek psychosocial assistance. Work provisions, this can include accessing VPNs or virtual private networks so they can use online platforms a bit more securely, as well as other work materials such as masks, vests that identify people as media, things like that. Family support, we tend to see this with journalists who are either prevented from working because of threats, or the journalist himself has been imprisoned or has been killed. So we can offer support to the journalist's family, as well as preventive safety measures. So this can include security training and other resources that may not respond to a direct threat there and then, but is trying to prevent further threats or actions along the line. To engage with this, you just reach out to us or to FPU. FPU have the Reporters Respond form, which feeds into this system. I will share after this some information about the practical and legal support, so you know who to speak to if you require this. Again, all of this stuff, and I would really please encourage you to share all of this with your network and your colleagues, because we want as many people to know this exists so that they know where they can get support when they need it. We also have a residency system set up here in Leipzig. So our journalist in residency program offers temporary shelter for journalists facing harassment and intimidation. Journalists will get a chance to rest and recuperate, but also they are also encouraged to continue their work at their own pace if they can. But also we understand that they may want their time here to recuperate and recover. There's never an expectation of publishing or promoting work while you're here. You're not measured against that. We understand that sometimes a short space of time, either 3 or 6 months, may be enough for you just to sort of get the help you need, or just get a bit of distance to then return to your work. So the residencies include a rent-free furnished apartment here in Leipzig, a stipend to cover basic living costs. It also covers travel and visa expenses, health insurance, psychological counselling, and other training issues. And I will say the Leipzig one at the moment has been closed because we've received cohort for the first sort of series, but there's plans. Obviously, next year it will be it's delivered under different projects and things like that. We're also looking at a form of residency in Milan, but I will say that has been drastically affected by the COVID pandemic and the ability to travel to Italy, so that we are expecting that to change quite significantly. So we don't really have information on that right now. We're also delivering and offering a range of training opportunities and funds to strengthen work to prevent threats and to build capacity and understanding of journalists. We have a training fund that people can access to support journalists in the aftermath of threats. We were planning to do a training of trainers session in Istanbul, but because of COVID and the travel restrictions, we're looking to move that online. So we're hoping for that to take place, we hope in sort of September time. And more information on that will be forthcoming. And that's delivered by the European Federation of Journalists. And it's a really key part of this project because a lot of our work is responding to threats. But this can enable us to build capacity and to ensure threats are stopped before they happen. So that's the idea of the training. We also do a large amount of advocacy. This can include fact-finding and fast response missions to source first-hand information and engage with policymakers across the region. We will lobby or engage with national governments, European institutions, and other bodies. We'll host events and public initiatives and coordinate public campaigns to build public awareness and public engagement in key press and media freedom issues. For example, if you go to the MFRR.eu website, which I might show you here, this is the website that we've set up for the Media Freedom Rapid Response. You'll see it's got all of the details. It also shows you ways to access all of the support that we've been talking about. In the library here, you'll see all of the sort of advocacy and legal responses that we've delivered. I think it's about 31 advocacy responses we've delivered since the beginning of March. You can sort them via briefings or campaign materials, legal opinions, open letters or statements. So for example, you'll see one here from Malta, one here from Serbia, Bulgaria, Poland, Turkey, Poland again. We do have some that's across Europe. So for example, International Press Institute put together a briefing on threats to journalists at protests. So please have a look at all of these. This is a lot of the advocacy work that we've been doing. We are planning to host events. Again, this has been severely restricted by COVID, but we have delivered a webinar, for example, on COVID's impact on press freedom, and we're hoping we'll continue doing this. We will also deliver advocacy missions, again, when it's safe to travel, because that is incredibly vital to be able to work with journalists where they are, learn from their direct experiences and engage with their policymakers, to also show that the rest of Europe is paying attention to that country, and if it's a state that's the source of the threat, that they can't just ignore it because other people are trying to hold them to account. We also have the Resource Center, which is overseen by the Osservatorio Balcani e Caucaso Trans-Europa, which is a growing collection of reports, analyses, multimedia assets and training opportunities on media freedom, media pluralism and safety of journalists across Europe. It's a really, really powerful resource. I would really recommend spending some time looking at it. It covers a wide range of countries, wide range of topics, and it's updated by OBCT. It's a really invaluable resource. If you have resources that are not on here, please get in touch. We'll make sure that we can upload it to here as well, because we are just consolidating and collating what other people have done on this. So please feel free to share with us information that we can post on there. And so that's basically it. It is a bit of a deluge. If you have any questions about the MFRR, you can contact myself. My name's Nik Williams, and I'm coordinating the Media Freedom Rapid Response. So my email is here. So, nick.williams@ecpmf.eu. As I said, the MFRR website is www.mfrr.eu. If you want to tweet about it, we use the hashtag MediaFreedomRR. So yes, so that is basically the entire presentation. We will make sure we can send this PowerPoint to everyone alongside some of the resources that we've prepared for the MFRR, but we would just ask you that if you need anything, if you need support, if you need practical support, legal support, or if there's an advocacy opportunity that you think our network can help with, please get in contact with us. We will respond as quickly as we can, and we are dedicated to ensure that journalists and media workers across the MFRR region are protected, because they should not be at risk for doing their job and informing the public and challenging power, basically. I will see if I can unmute in case there are any questions. You can also write your questions down in the text window if you have any questions, but I'll see if I can unmute you again. So now you've got control. So if you want to talk, you can just unmute yourself by clicking the red microphone, and then you can ask a question, and I'll be happy to. And I will stop the record if I can figure out how to stop the recording. Here we go. Stop the